All right, welcome back to the Moving to Japan podcast. We are absolutely thrilled to have you with us. Thanks for tuning in. This is our second podcast episode and our very first interview. So pretty excited over here and even more excited with this guest. So I met him just last week here in Fukuoka City, Japan. Best city I've ever lived in, by the way, but I'm biased. You'll hear all about it in this episode as well. His name is Pablo Riveros and he was a digital nomad far before the term was even coined, let alone become as popular as it is these days. These days, he's based here in Japan, and he's running a 6,000 person strong community of digital nomads that's growing every day. We talked to him about what the term even means, who is the typical digital nomad, and what they care about as they hop around the world, never settling in anywhere for longer than a year at a time or so, and how digitalnomads.jp, his website and his community, tries to help them out. So awesome conversation with an awesome person, I thought, who's making the ultimate dream, freedom, the perfect work-life balance, a reality for himself and his community members. Enjoy the chat. All right, so welcome to our podcast, man.
Hi.
Hi. Tell people who you are, where you come from, what do you do, before we get into the more exciting stuff, but just a bit of like origin story, comic book number one.
Yes, sure. Well, thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast. I think I'm Pablo, and I'm the founder of Manabu Dev, and the digital nomad community. I'm originally from Chile. I was born in Chile. However, when I was in my early 20s, I moved to Australia. During that time, I was working in Chile. I have my own business. I sold my business. I have a tour company, a touristic company. And then I sold and then moved to Australia. And during that time, I lived in Australia for around 12 years, in and out. Moved to the Netherlands. I also live in the Netherlands as well. And back to Australia. And then after... In 2019, I moved to Japan. Back in 2019, December 2019, just before the pandemic.
Right.
Yes.
Lucky to get in.
Yeah, I was lucky. I was unlucky to go out. So.
Yeah. So you were kind of a digital nomad before that was even a term, right? You were already doing that.
That's right. Yeah.
Similar to myself and a lot of people I know. So So you sold a tour business and then you started Manabu.dev, which does what? What's that company?
Yes. So when I was in Australia, I was working at the university in Australia, and I was working in edtech, digital technologies. So when I moved to Japan, I started building my own consulting company, and then I opened my own startup. And Manabu is basically, we do solutions for companies to manage ESG data.
So what is ESG to listeners who are not familiar with the term?
Yeah, ESG, it basically is environment, social governance. And there is a new international policies that government organizations, companies, they must report the ESG as basically the metric of what is the impact they're doing, for example, a building into the environment, how they're responsible with the community and also with the public policies, governing
in
policies.
Japan as well?
They have
to report this?
In Japan as well. So it's a bit more global trending overseas. There is strict regulations in Europe.
Yeah.
Now it's getting to US, and soon will be more strict in Japan. So in the short term, more companies must report publicly all the data, ESG, and what we are doing with Manabu, basically, we have a smart dashboard. So we integrate AI. We collect all the data from the let's say on a big property. We put in the smart dashboard, and then appear all the information in a very visual manner. And then in one click, they can just download all the report. Now, how they do the people is just Excel file.
Yeah, that's most of Japan.
Just Excel file, and when the government, they have to present publicly there's all 150 pages PDF.
Yeah.
And it's so difficult for simple people to understand.
Yeah.
So that's what we are doing with Manabu dashboard. And also, we also have a digital badge. And digital badge is basically a solution that you can recognize the skill or upskilling of the workers. Okay. So we are using this kind of proof and evidence. Nowadays, before we have a certificate, diploma, but the digital badge is on a blockchain solution that you can verify. For example, in companies, they can do a training, onboarding training, we use the Manabu digital patch, and they can
Right.
prove has evidence, and yes.
So those are products. I'm assuming they're not super cheap, right? They're not going to be for like small companies like ours, 5 to 6 employees, maybe not.
Yes. Actually, we have let's say, for example, Manabu
mini version?
Manabu, yeah, that's right. So Manabu dashboard is we are working on POC project at the moment.
Yeah.
So one of the client we are it's in Taiwan, and it's a big global town. It's a huge property investment in all Taiwan, and they want to they were looking for solution, ESG solution. So we are having a meeting actually on Friday with them. But we're aiming to do this also in a small business as well, a small scalability, because they don't understand about what is ESG and how they will have a big impact in the near future. So they have to be prepared for that things that are coming. So, and we have a different solutions also. We can make a very dashboard with a specific needs of, for example, your real estate company.
Yeah.
We can also help them, but it depends on the customer.
Okay, so it is customized.
It's customized, yes.
Okay. And then how did you... Okay, so Chile, Australia, Netherlands, how did you end up in Japan?
Well, two main reasons. The one, because Fukuoka was... I jumped into the online webinar maybe 5 years ago about Fukuoka startup.
Yeah.
And then I listened, wow, what is Fukuoka? And I never heard about Fukuoka. Normally, the people go to Tokyo, Osaka.
Yeah.
I heard about Fukuoka startup, and I thought, wow, that's interesting. And then I came here. I was doing a travel. I did all Osaka, and then I jumped into Fukuoka. And then I met people. I explored the ecosystem, new entrepreneurs, and then I heard about Fukuoka is very compact city. It's very they want to expand. It's going to be the Silicon Valley in Japan.
We hope so, yeah.
Yes, and they're inviting a lot of startups. So this is the reason why I thought, wow, this is an opportunity to maybe start my business in Japan.
Okay.
Yes.
And then how did the digital nomad thing come about?
Well, that started, let's say, 8 years ago in Australia. When I was in Australia I live in different cities in Australia: Cairns, Brisbane, Sunshine Coast, Mooloolaba. And during that time, it was I built an online community, Facebook community, and that community started growing and growing. And at that time, it was just nomads, people that were like backpackers, travelers, go to Australia, or they're living in Australia.
Yeah.
But after that, when I moved to Fukuoka, I got a lot of requests from those communities that asking me how is the situation in Fukuoka? How is the situation in Japan? Can we go there? Do you have any accommodation? Do you know where we can find a nice attraction? Do you know any community? And most of my community in this Facebook group are female. Actually, 65% of our community are female.
Right.
And the rest are men. To give you an understanding, the digital nomads people in our community are most of techpreneurs.
Yeah.
They are no young people like students. They are mostly they have a professional background. They're IT or digital designers or designers, etc. So that's why I started building the community back in Australia 8 years ago, and now it's getting more growing and growing.
So back then it wasn't Japan centric. It
That's
was
right.
Just an online people working. Again, the term digital nomad probably wasn't even a thing 7 years ago. Yeah.
Correct. So at that time it was Japan. Australia, as you know, is a very popular destination. Many people go to Australia.
Yeah.
But since I moved to Japan, those people that were in Australia say, wow, Japan is so trending nowadays.
Yeah.
And people want to come to Japan, but they don't know how to do or what kind of activities or what communities they can. And then we start building our community. We connect this community, digital nomad, into Japan. Yeah.
Right. So before we dig into the members, what does the community actually offer to members? What is it that you're hoping to... how old is the community, by the way?
In Japan, we just started last year.
Yeah.
Just the last
It's
year.
called the official side of
the official. We started last year, but in the Facebook we have more than 7 years. Officially, it's on Facebook, and we offer very simple benefit. Like I know one of the things that people asking is collaboration. They're looking. I want to collaborate with someone. I want to provide I want to know more about sustainability because our community is very different than other communities. Are a lot of tech savvy people, digital nomads with different backgrounds,
and 65% female. They also tend to be a bit more environmentally aware, right?
Correct. And then we found that it was a niche in the market that was not covered the digital nomad with the sustainability,
right?
And that's why we create a kind of sustainability community as well.
Yeah.
And those people, for example, are traveling to Japan. They want to stay in a sustainable hotel. They're very, very focused and care about the planet. So if they go to a co-working space, they're expecting that there's not too many plastic glasses.
Yeah.
They bring their own cup back. So those community has a very strong sense of community as well. So if they come to Japan, they are also interested in to go to local places.
Yep.
Most of the people, Tokyo, Osaka, big Shinkansen, or big attractions, but the community, our communities are very into, I want to explore the remote town. What is the Kamashi, for example? How we can go to a little remote area to explore and stay with locals people.
So accommodation-wise, obviously, they're not going to have sustainable or not sustainable. They're not going to have too many hotels in those tiny towns. Right?
Correct. So that's the thing is also, we also have one part, it's we are consulting as well. So our digital nomad community, we also support those kind of small town housing, how to become a little bit sustainable. Because those town, for example, hotels in the countryside, they're very good in recycling system in Japan, but they don't know, for example, if you have too many plastic glasses, it's not good, right? So it's still you're not sustainable. So we also help them in for our consulting, for our organizations, hotels as well.
Okay. Yeah. So your members, you're saying, a lot of them are female, a lot of them are tech in tech related jobs. What's the percentage of, let's say, employees that just work remotely versus actual freelancers or entrepreneurs?
It's very hard to get this data because we are not going to. Also, there's a lot of privacy that we manage our communities. But what our open community Facebook say to us is basically most of them work in a tech, and some of them are also work in creative industries. Let's say. Marketing, many designers, UX designers, and IT developer. And we also have a large group of founders and entrepreneurs as well. So those founders at the moment, and what we notice that there's people are trending that I'm a founder of my own company in Korea, but I also want to work 6 months in Japan. The digital nomad visa match perfect with those people.
Right, so let's talk about that. So that's actually coming, or at least it's in the works in Japan,
so.
right?
Yes.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
So what will that include? How will that differ from a normal visitor's visa?
Yeah, as you know, in Japan, the visitor visa or tourist visa, it's up to 3 months.
Yeah.
And basically the digital nomad visa, it's more time. The length of the stay is between 6 to up to 1 year. It depends of the countries. Let's say, for example, in Spain, people can stay up to 1.5. For example, Portugal, Costa Rica, Costa Rica is one of the biggest hub of digital nomads. And I think that's going to be it's going to be a huge change for Japan society as well, because those digital nomads they spend quite a lot.
So again, like you're saying, they're not the old version of digital nomads is, like you said, is basically backpackers, people in between jobs, in between schools, that kind of thing. But we're not talking about these kinds of people.
We are not talking about
they
this.
They all have a reasonable income at least.
The reasonable income. Most of them, some of them, they work in remote area from Australia, let's say US, Spain, and they are most of them they're flexible. Their companies are pretty flexible to work remotely anywhere in the world, and they get the good same salary there in the home country.
Yep.
So the salary is also pretty good, and they can also spend quite a lot. So if they come to Japan, they visit different places, they work in a cafe, they're looking at co-working space, they're looking for the properties that are kind of sustainable, but at the same time convenient for them, because they're moving in different places.
Right. So I guess from their perspective, especially if they're coming, let's say, from Europe or Australia, some of the more expensive countries, they love to stay in places like Japan, where cost of living can be a lot lower.
Correct.
And it goes even further down if you go to Bali or Thailand or whatever, right? So when they come to another country, let's say in this case Japan, what exactly are they looking for? So accommodation and a place to work is obviously the first two.
Actually, first things they're looking for food.
Food, okay.
Yeah, so actually one of the first things that we notice in our community are looking for Japan. When they come to Japan, they're looking for food. Like I know they're very into food. Where we can try this Japanese, this best sushi, the best ramen, and the second thing is the seat sign. You know, they want to see attractions. They want to see temples. They want to see not only temple. They want to see, for example, the largest Zen Buddha is here in Fukuoka, right?
Yeah,
so they want to see these things that is only.
Oh, one of the. I think Kamakura has the biggest one. We're number 2.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but the people, those digital nomads, they also want to see attractions, experience the Japanese culture, countryside, local communities, participate in local communities, and they're also into find communities. So if they came here, they stay, let's say, 3 months in Fukuoka. What can I do now?
Yeah.
So they want to connect with local communities. They want to support local, let's say, charities. So they are very into
becoming a part of the community.
They become a community and ESG as well, environment, social. Going back to SDGs, Sustainable Development Goal. They're really into that space because before, like you say, backpacker used to travel with a bag, stay one place, and then work, get a catch of money, and then go to Bali, another country.
Yeah.
Those digital nomad community are very into impact the community as well. Are very into having a positive impact in the society as well.
Understand.
Yeah.
So, what sort of infrastructures do they need? Obviously, fast internet would be one of them. A place to stay, I'm assuming, like you said, they're looking for more sustainable options, but also they're probably, if they're coming for a few months or a year or whatever the case may be, they probably don't want to stay in a hotel the entire period of time, right? They want to rent a place or buy a place. What are they looking for?
You're right. And actually, we have one of our digital nomads now here in Japan. And one of the things that we got the first, after 1 week, we ask, how's your hotel? Because it's become a little bit partner with one hotel. How was your hotel? To be honest, a bit small. The room was a bit small. But makes sense, right? The things from Australia, you came here, was super small.
Of course. Yeah.
But however, they're, like you say, they will stay for a couple of weeks in this hotel and then move into another options.
Right.
And they're also looking for share house, kind of sharing rooms when they can stay with more people and communities, areas. So that's something that we are doing and we aiming to do with the co-working space as well. We want to advise those real estate properties, the co-working space, how they could match their solutions, their service into this trending, big global trending. Because, like I said, back to if you have an accommodation that you don't consider bike parking, those guys, they most of the time they rent bicycle.
Of course.
Because, they are very sustainable. They don't take too much the car, public transport or bicycle or walk. The other thing, co-working space. Do you have a fast internet? Do you have a fresh water? And most of them, there is a very trending app. I forgot the name, but it's you can refill with water. So if this co-working space, can I refill my water there? These little things. Do you have a nice coffee? Because some of those guys, they really like the coffee.
Important shit.
Very important, right? So all these things is the little details, and also. Especially one of the things that we got is the light. The light is very good to work because some places are super dark.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult when you are working in some places in the office. So these little things some companies or some organization they must consider, when they work with digital nomads.
Right. And then again, we don't know the details about the visa that Japan is going to have, but I'm assuming it will give them the ability to be a bit more than tourists in the sense that maybe they could register their address or they could open a bank account. We're hoping, right?
We hope, because that's going to be very super positive for the local government. So if you think if these people stay here for 6 months, 1 month, pay the tax as a normal people, let's say if they want to register their own company here, for example, they can do one thing came to my mind is one of the person that was from Korea asked to us, can I stay for 6 months, but without registering my company, but I want to sell to Japanese
clients. Yeah.
that we say no, that you cannot do that, right? You need to have your own business here, registration, registration number. They could sell, but unless if it's online, etc. But he want to support marketing things directly to the customer.
I think they can definitely do, even if they have a foreign company, they can definitely do business activities in Japan. But Japan being Japan, clients tend to view it better if it's actually a Japanese entity,
right?
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
But I think this is the things that I think a government we must consider adapt this visa with those global founders or digital nomads.
And what are the requirements usually to get this kind of visa? Let's again assume that it might be similar here.
Let's say that in other countries, for example, normally the government, they need to have a proper monthly salary. So you have to demonstrate that you have at least $3,000 or whatever, like kind of 5,000. It depends on the countries. So in Brazil, I think they just, to get the digital nomad, you need to demonstrate $1,500, I think. And also you need to show that you have insurance,
health insurance,
health insurance, and all these things. The kind of, because if something happened, you need to be covered. So it's kind of a little bit like let's say, not tourist visa, but with more openness.
So you can do more, but you also need to prove something. Okay.
Correct.
So do they also need to show savings or just a stable income?
In other countries, yes, you have to show savings and demonstrate with the bank account or things like that. But as I said to you, it depends of the country. Many countries, and now I think in more countries are opening to the borders to this massive digital nomads community.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens here. So the community that you run, how do people find it, by the way?
Yes, they can find on, you just go to Google, digitalnomad.jp.
Okay.
That's it, digitalnomad.jp.
So what are you going to offer? You've mentioned collaborations on working spaces, maybe real estate agents who can provide places to live.
We are growing our listing in Fukuoka, and we hope that we can have more business partner with us. At the moment we are offering like kind of very service co-working spaces, discounting co-working spaces, some kind of special rate for accommodation.
Yep.
Let's say we have another company. I don't want to say the name because it's big brand, but we hope those digital nomads are very sustainable people, and they are looking for very very light shoes because they walk all the time. So we're gonna on a feed by one of them. Can we get a discount from this very big branding shoes? So I say, why not?
And bicycles, there's so many
that's
things.
Right. So bicycles. So those now we are looking for a partnership with a very large bike company in Taiwan that we want to also be partnered with them. So you see, that's kind of a lot of different business that we can help, and we can drip all together. We can build.
And the goal is to be, you're here in Fukuoka, but the goal is to be Japan-wide?
Correct. That is our long term. We will start in Fukuoka, and then we aiming to expand in more different prefectures. I think if Fukuoka, consider Kyushu, and then we can jump in more bigger. But at the moment, we want to have a collaboration with local governments. So we are having soon a first meeting with the Kobe government. And then I hope we can also have a meeting with the Fukuoka city as well. So we're aiming to do that.
Good stuff. Yeah. And do you also host events, online, offline, where people can get together? Or?
Yeah, during the pandemic, we did quite a lot of events, online events. Now we just finished one event last months ago with this kind of bicycle partner from Taiwan. In the next time we hope that we wanna do a wine tech women sustainable event, kind of more focused in the organic wine that is kind of trending globally. And
Chile wine.
That's right, Chile.
Okay.
That's right, Chilean wine and organic wine.
Yeah.
So, and we also want to partner with local communities as well, because there are many here in Fukuoka as well, international communities. So those digital nomad came here and say, where can I go? You can participate in this community. So
good stuff. And we hope that we'll be able to offer some services to your members too, whether it's for rentals or purchases of real estate or relocation support services.
That would be fantastic. And I think they are all keen to to looking for more options, because as I said to you, those founders that they came here to Japan for the first time, they see the beauty of Fukuoka. Wow, is the mountain is so close, the ocean is super close, properties are not so expensive. Well, they can easily, that's tech founder, big company, I can buy my property here and then have a hub, another location, and then move around.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of customers actually who do this. I don't think they classify themselves as digital nomads, but they're usually business owners that have worked enough so the business can run without them, so they can take holidays whenever they want. And a lot of them collect holiday homes. One here, one in Seychelles, one in Japan, one in So it's definitely a thing. And like you said, the property prices here are quite low. So definitely, if they're looking at countryside kind of traditional homes.
So if a digital nomad want to buy a property here, we are talking about how much in US dollars?
Well, again, those countryside homes and little condo units that are like hotel room sized, maybe slightly bigger, can start as low as 40,000-50,000.
Wow.
Might need some work if it's an older wooden house. But I'm guessing a lot of your community members are also the DIY types, right?
Yeah, correct.
They're happy doing a lot of the work themselves.
Yes, that's correct.
So they start at 40,000-50,000. Obviously, the sky is the limit, but usually for the type of use that you're describing, I'm guessing, are most of the community members traveling around without children, or do you?
Now it's a new trending. Now we have a couple now as well, couples with 2 kids. So one of our community members are in Europe for 6 months now, with the 2 kids traveling around Europe. But now we see that kind of trending now, actually, with kids as well.
So I mean, Japan space is usually a premium. So anything beyond the couple would maybe cost a little bit more, but still a lot more affordable than other countries, I think. Yeah. Fantastic. Good stuff, man. Thanks for coming today. We hope to announce some collaborations in the near future.
It will be my pleasure. And thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast. And and thank you so much. I hope we can participate in another one. So
fantastic.
All the best in your podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so yes, our very first interview on the Moving to Japan podcast. Exciting stuff. Hope you found some value in the conversation. Whether you are a digital nomad or not, I think the freedom that this lifestyle affords the people who can put themselves in the spot, and I'm very aware that it's definitely not all of us, but that freedom is definitely something to be aspired to, whether in Japan or anywhere else. Now, if you found value in this episode, we'd really love it if you could like, subscribe, and even better, share this podcast with anyone in your network who might also find value in it. And of course, leave us a review or a comment wherever you might have found this podcast. Your word of mouth is our oxygen, and it helps us reach more and more people who may find value in the topics we cover here. We just love hearing from you. And of course, if you want to be on the podcast, either as a sponsor, we can definitely put you in the ears of anyone interested in moving to Japan, or even better, as a guest, either via recorded conversation with us, or just send in your questions, audio, video, written form, and we'll try to give you the answers that you're looking for. Just drop us a line, either in the comment section or DM us, wherever you might have found this episode again, or at info@nipponbridge.com. That's info@NIPPON, Nippon Bridge, all one word.com. We want to know what you think. Hope to have you with us again next time, and until then, have a great day or night ahead. Yoroshiku.